Check Complete, a referee podcast, is an educational resource for referees by referees, designed to connect and develop soccer officials of all ages and skill levels to better serve the game both on and off the field. Welcome back to the Check Complete podcast. A series that we're going to kind of launch into here and talk about is about the referee's toolbox. If you work NFHS matches, so high school, you will know that that actually is one of the points of emphasis for this year. We in Kansas were actually leaning that way educationally a long time before that on the Federation side. That was kind of our idea to follow a trail talking about referee toolbox and building those tools for effective match control and game management. So this summer we had a clinic and we talked through different ideas, kind of skimmed the surface, and then we're spending time throughout these months of the fall season to unpack 4.5 categories, 5 kind of categories under this banner of the referee's toolbox. So we built it on the kind of the premises of what are the powers and duties of the referee. Like, this is our building block, so you can find that according to Law 5, which is enforcing the laws of the game, controls the match with help from assistant referees, keeps time and necessary match records, supervises and or indicates the restarts of play. There's some additional notes in there about administering, recognizing and applying advantage, disciplinary action, overseeing the injury procedure, and dealing with outside interference. So that's kind of our, like, as we've described it, kind of our blueprint, kind of the job description, if you will, to put it in a different terminology, right? If you're going into a job and you get this is what you're applying for. This is what we're telling you to do. That's kind of our job description. But how we act that out is that referee thought process of something occurs, contact occurs. It can be all sorts of things depending on whether a referee or assistant referee, but specifically to a foul, it's like contact occurs. We have to decide, is it fair or foul? And if it's foul, do we decide to ignore it? Do we decide to play advantage? Do we decide to blow the whistle? If we're blowing the whistle, or even if we're playing advantage, we have to understand the contact, the nature of the contact, the severity of the contact. So careless, reckless, or excessive force, the possibility of misconduct based on the severity or based on the tactical nature of the foul, and then how are we going to restart play from there? So direct free kick or indirect free kick or a drop ball or something else, okay? And then we talked a little bit about kind of the degrees of fouls and considerations, but building on that and the general understanding that we are working for the safety, fairness, and enjoyment of the participants. The definition that we kind of threw together for what the referee's toolbox, what we mean by this is the referee's toolbox is the composition of tactics and strategies for effective game management to promote safety and fairness for all participants. Okay? So it's these tactics and these strategies. And some of these are just inherent to being a human being, but some of them are things that we may have a rough idea of, but take practice and planning and preparation for us to really execute them correctly. So we're breaking these into 4 categories. Kind of 4.5. And you'll see what I mean by that. So the first one is presence, which is something that, and I mean PRESENCE, not presence like what I hope I will be showered with here shortly for my birthday that's coming up in a few days. But for this is really like our first and our most utilized tool. It's how close are we getting to moments in the game that require attention, that require the referees to be involved. So are we really close to play, or are we like, in a different zip code? Okay, and then having some urgency to get to those moments, and really, like, are we there to help just by the sake of being and existing? Are we there to help players realize, oh, they're right there. Maybe I should make a good decision here. If they feel like they're not being watched, it's like the kid. If mom and dad are in the room, they're less likely to do something stupid, right? So that's a huge one that we really all can start with and build off of. The second one is the whistle. So this is obviously more towards the referee, But the whistle and understanding the need for differing tone or volume and length to match the severity of the offense, not just to show, hey, look at me with the whistle, I'm real good at this, but to actually help players to recognize by another sense, this auditory way of being able to say, oh, that changed. That means if that changed, there's a reason why that changed. And so that helps to then make the impact of our man management, our player management attempts to be even more impactful, right? And so we really should be able to kind of tell the story with our whistle. I should be able to have my back to your field and be able to kind of go, oh, that was a careless foul, or whoa, I better turn around. Maybe somebody got it on video because that sounded like a red card and I'd love to see a replay, right? The third one are our cards, yellow and red cards, right? So our purpose for these is not just to be punitive, but is for behavior modification. And so the card is not just for that one knucklehead, right? The card is really for all of the knuckleheads. It's for everyone. And it's to help not just those players understand it's a problem, but to help that coach understand, okay, this is where the line is. This is how I need to be able to give instruction to my players, to be able to know where those players are that have worn out their welcome and were done dealing with poor behavior that's negatively impacting the game day experience, right? And then even thinking about from there, not just the fact that we're pulling a card out, but how are we administering it to match the severity of the offense, to de-escalate the situation, to get the most that we can out of the card. Many of us have heard that terminology. They've been around this for a while. Getting the most that we can out of the card. And then this last one, which, again, we're going to kind of make this 0.5 or split it into two, I suppose, but is personality. So our personality I'm dividing this into two categories. Our voice and our body language, okay? So thinking about voice and body language as these two complementary but separate ideas of our personality and separate expressions of our personality. So how we utilize our voice, the words we choose to say, the fact that we choose to say words at all, and how we can see from a distance how we are choosing to engage in conversation. So is it something where specific words are used in a drive-by fashion versus I'm stopping everything and making this a more public show to pull a player aside? Am I holding up a restart to clean up things inside the penalty area? Am I dealing with a player that's made a challenge that exists in that careless plus, that area of between green, careless, and yellow, reckless? And what we're trying to do with that and go, okay, I don't really want to pull a yellow card out here, but what can I do to help the player understand that this behavior is not appropriate, but it's also not quite a yellow card? So what tools do I have? That's really this idea of the toolbox. But specifically, how are we saying words and when are we choosing to say them? All right. And then our body language complements that. So if we look like we are crazy uptight, then our decisions might follow that, our reactions, our tone of voice, everything might follow that. And that might even raise match temperature in and of itself. But a too relaxed body language could come across as apathetic or better than the game. And people don't like that piece either, right? So lots of different things to discuss here. And we're going to hear different voices from different people at various levels of the game that can hopefully be helpful for you. And I hope that this is something that you, whoever you are aware of in your own game if you're still officiating, or if you're in a different view of the game, is something you're paying attention to, because it's a fascinating, truly art to what we're doing in the game of soccer, to see how referees act and behave and attempt to, again, maintain some sort of match control and manage a game. So lots more to come on the toolbox. There's a strong possibility we will actually have a toolbox. I'm thinking of, if we could get a sand, could I play in a sand pit? Is that frowned upon? No, I'm getting a yes. So We'll see where this goes. I maybe I could get one of those excavators and drive it. Ooh. Insurance. Yeah, it's an insurance problem. Okay. We'll see what we can do. Anyway, stick around. There's probably going to be some both helpful information and large amounts of stupidity to come. Thanks for watching.